this is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's upside down.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
It's one of the oldest tracks in America and in the world, in fact. It's home to the greatest spectacle in motor racing, and it's home to what they call the Brickyard. We are here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the penultimate round of the Simworx Roadster Rumble, with plenty still to play for throughout the championship. Still plenty of points on offer and all sorts to possibly happen. Welcome to IMS and welcome to tonight's action here on SimSpeed TV. My name is Cameron Dance. Alongside me in the director's chair and also in the commentary box beside me is Scott Fountain. Fonty, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty good night of racing here at Indy, with obviously this track known for all sorts of different racing. We've been here in the past with broadcasts and it's really turned it on every single time.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Cam. Welcome everybody to another awesome night of Mazda MX-5 action. Love this track. It's yeah, absolutely fantastic for drafting, and this series is all about drafting and setting yourself up for that last lap run through the field. And yeah, tonight's going to be an awesome race.
Yeah, absolutely. And in these MX-5s, that draft is going to be especially strong with the with the train the whole way down from the exit of the infield all the way down to turn one, not using the newer road course layout, so no chicane to have to worry about on the run down towards turn one and out of the infield. But it certainly provides some very, very good racing, does this layout. The one used from when they ran the United States Grand Prix with Formula One here through the mid-2000s, and it certainly is a very, very famous track as well. Thankfully saved here in iRacing, and probably not too far away from seeing an update to the track as well at some point through the rumour mill, but we'll wait and see when that possibly happens. But one of the oldest tracks, as we said, opened in 1909 as one of the first ovals in America, the second banked paved permanent oval to be built in America, so it's certainly one of the elder statesmen in the world and in America, and certainly very, very historic and very, very famous location, this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I can't wait to see this racing tonight. 3 races across tonight, which is a bit of a change from what we've had in previous weeks. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to see it really mixed up through the field. I'm sure we'll see the regulars, Sonny Canchin, Tiny Venables, yeah, those guys right up there battling it out. At the front, the likes of Lee Harrison as well. Those guys are always pretty fast, and it's pretty tight between Lee and Sonny at the moment for the championship lead, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of the championship, it's very, very tight indeed between those two. Canchin with a bit of an advantage at the moment in his hand. So he's sort of got one hand on the trophy at the moment, but that can all change within the blink of an eye, as we've seen in this series with all sorts of drama that has happened over the last few weeks. So we'll wait and see how it's all going to play out. But even in the AM Championship, it's still pretty close between Mark Foster and Neil McKenzie as well. So still heaps of drivers possibly going to be shuffling and moving up and down the order tonight, and possibly even next week as well when we head to the final round of the championship. But at the moment, it's all about tonight as Anthony Connors on screen. Currently in qualifying at the moment, only a handful of drivers have set a representative lap time so far. Connors comes across the line and puts himself 6th in the order, drops to 8th. There's a few more drivers improve. Currently, Caleb Patterson, the top driver on the timing list, as you can see on your left-hand side, with a 1 minute 42.519, and well, not actually not a massive gap back to second, but still a reasonable advantage around this long track. And then, just as I say that, Sonny Canchin jumps himself up into P1 with a much quicker time of a 42.282. So very, very nice lap from Sonny Canchin there to put himself at the front of the field for what's going to be this first of 3 races as well, like we said. And just coming through into that infield section as well. A very, very technical section of the track is the infield, and very flowing as well. So not really able to capitalize. Well, you got to make sure you don't make too many mistakes with how flowing it is. So you've got to keep that momentum up, especially in these slower MX5s as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is really important for momentum, and especially around this track. It is so wide and so fast and flowing. If you make a mistake, you're going to be out in the weeds pretty quickly. And yeah, that front straight is so important. I'm sure we'll be seeing 4, 5, 6 cars even wide going into turn 1 there at some stage across tonight's races.
Yeah, I can only imagine what we're going to see on the way down towards turn 1 and the possible draft battles that we're going to see as well, as a result of how wide and how long this track is as well on the run down towards turn 1. Obviously paved oval, so it's able to go 3 or 4 wide in some places, especially on the way through the final corner where it's so banked and just so easy to keep grip in the car. Tiny Venables on screen, comes across the line, puts himself 2nd in the order, as Patterson actually goes a little bit quicker. 42.0 currently the time to beat, and Venables with a 42.120, so not too bad of a start there for those two. And Canchin just about to cross the line as well, and he jumps straight into first. A full, well, not quite full, but just under half a second advantage for Sonny Canchin at the moment in qualifying. So very, very good lap there from the current championship leader. As we've also got, I believe that's Lee Harrison on screen as well. Currently sitting 11th in the order, and he's finished both of his laps as well. So probably not in the position that he wants to be in currently, but it's very, very close through that sort of from pretty much 5th on back. It's extremely tight. You improve to 10th, and you jump a number of positions. So it's very, very close between a lot of the drivers in qualifying at the moment with how this track has played out. And Greg Holmes coming through, Glenn Wood, coming through the first section of road. And speaking of that first turn, that pit exit is going to be very, very interesting to see what happens there and what may transpire with how you end up straight onto the racing line into turn 1 as well. So if you can get a jump on your competitor, you're certainly going to be in for a treat when you get to turn 1, as it's going to be very, very difficult to hold it around the outside. But nevertheless, it's looking like most of the drivers have so far completed their qualifying lap, so it's going to be tough for a lot of drivers to improve, but still very, very close between a lot of the drivers, nevertheless.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Some good lap times been punched out. Caleb Patterson, great time from him, sitting in P3 there. Glenn Woods, generally that goes pretty well, and yeah, he'll be happy with second. No surprise to see Sonny Canchin right at the top there. Yeah, Lee Harrison, he'll be disappointed with that lap time that he's done. It's back in P12 there. I remember seeing last week he didn't have the best of qualifying runs either. So yeah, hopefully we can see the likes of himself make the way up the order, but yeah, it's all going to be about keeping clean in that first lap, and if there is gaps that start to form, Cam, you're going to just yeah, see people run away with it. But yeah, big massive field here tonight, and I'm expecting some really awesome racing out of this.
Yeah, those breakaways are going to be one of the key things to having a successful night, or possibly a terrible night, depending on which end of the field you're starting at. Is you're going to need to work together with those around you and try and pull away as well if you can, to latch on to those cars ahead, as the last thing you're going to want to do is end up in no man's land or end up stuck in the pack you're in if you're down the order as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it's all going to go. Pit entry, very, very committed as well. One thing to note here, and it's very, very long as well, is you have to actually come down off the oval in the middle of what would be the oval 1 and 2, and then you transcend all the way down this very long pit lane. Not actually all that slow. It's about 89 kilometers, so on the quicker end of the spectrum as far as pit lane speeds, but still very, very long pit lane. And obviously with those 3 mandatory pit stops tonight, with 2 of them having to take at least a minimum of 2 tyres, it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what sort of strategies play out and who decides to do what, whether people decide to do them later in the evening or whether they decide to get the 2 pit stops out of the way in the first 2 races. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think it's all going to be dependent on where you're kind of situated. Obviously, if you do have a bad start in the first race, I reckon you want to try and get that pit stop over and done with pretty quickly, and then hope for a better run in the second and third races. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what this pit lane is. Probably for me, whenever I've driven around this track, probably one of the most painful pit lanes, because the drivers are coming past so fast, and yeah, you can quickly watch cars flying by and drop down the list pretty fast when you're out there on track racing.
Yeah, you're certainly right. Obviously, top end speed being quite high at this sort of track, especially on the way down towards turn 1 with the run that you've got, just topping out at just over 200 odd kilometers. Probably going to see that close to the likes of 220 and the draft and in race conditions. So we'll see what's going to happen. But the grid is on screen and we're going to get ready to go racing. Sonny Canchin is your pole sitter for the first race tonight, and Glenn Wood's going to join him on the front row. Caleb Patterson, your first AM in the list, sitting on the front second row, and third with Tane Venables. Third row is going to be Nick Wood and Todd George coming out in the order in sixth, with Mosmeroz seventh and Wayne Loshin eighth on row 4. Row 5, Brenton Bull and Luke Claver, with Ashley Norman and Lee Harrison on row 6 to round out the top 12.
Yeah, there we go. Back to row 7, Lucas McAleff and Dylan Canto, new name there. Damien Seeger, row 8, and Simon Smith next to him. Lucas Stasi in row 9, and Aaron Oliver rounding out row 9 there.
And you're going to go over the page, and there is the rest of your gridding, obviously. Being very, very quick with so many cars. And obviously a few drivers down the list a little bit as well for where they'd possibly like to be. The likes of Neil McKenzie, not quite as close as he probably would have hoped to be to his championship rival, who's a little bit more closer to the top 20. And then a few others as well, the likes of Vasella, Sharp, and possibly a few others possibly wanting to be a little bit further forward. Interesting to see as well, the likes of Brody Cook and Ben Snell opting not to qualify as well. So they're going to be starting down in 40th and 41st respectively. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them, but we're not too far away from seeing the lights go out. Weather here today is obviously, as you can see, very, very overcast, with only a 21 degree air temp and north winds of 13 kilometers an hour and only 10% relative humidity as well in the morning time of day of 6:30 a.m. So plenty of grip on offer for these drivers and going to be no means slipping and sliding at all. Revs are rising, the lights are on, and we are about to get underway here for race 1. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway in a great jump from Sonny Canchin on the rest of the field. Not such a great start, though, for Glenn Wood. He's going to end up having Caleb Patterson chase him on the way down towards turn 1, a few further back, 4 and 3 wide as well, as you saw there as they come across the yard of bricks as they head down towards turn 1. Canchin leads them in. Glenn Wood is going to settle for second. Venables with a very good start, gets ahead of Patterson. A little bit of contact between Wood and Canchin as they come through turn 2. And Patterson's dropped down the order a little bit. He's going to be going side by side with Nick Wood. He's going to be on the outside on the way through turn 4, and Todd George possibly going to look to size him up as they head on down. But so far, everybody's made it on the way through the first few corners. I don't think we've had any real victims at this stage. Is that Harrison being hit and Ashley Norman getting taken with him as well? Moroz is off the road, and that's not how those two would have like to start that race, and a few others getting caught up in incidents as well.
Yeah, not the greatest start there for Lee Harrison. He'll be absolutely gutted with that one, and yeah, continuing to go around there in the background. It was a bit of a commentator's curse there. We got through the first few corners pretty clean, and then it all unfolded, but I am surprised that we got through turn 1 without any issues. Nice side-by-side battles going here for 14th, 15th. Damien Seeger, Simon Joel Smith. They're battling together quite nicely. These guys want to form a line pretty quickly and not let those front cars get away too fast.
Yeah, they certainly weren't, and obviously a few drivers looking like they got caught out by lap 1 slowdowns as well. Lucas Stasi, one of those drivers, unfortunately exceeding track limits and now having to service slowdown. Looks like he's got it done, but he's lost a number of places out of that as a result and ended up in that battle with the likes of Aaron Oliver and Simon Joel Smith in that. But at the front, it's looking like it's very much single file, although it's very packed together as they're nearly 3 wide, nearly going to be 4 wide, in fact, on the way down towards turn 1. Canchin on the inside, Wood on the outside, and Wood's going to try sweep it around the outside. Oh, a little bit of contact on the way into turn 1. He's but they saw themselves out. Venables trying to get a move done on Nick Wood, and Wood runs a little bit wide onto the grass, and he's going to end up losing place to Venables, with Patterson looking up the inside with a little bit of a crossback move, and he's going to try and take that position, but not quite going to happen. Wood's just going to hold on. The contact between Venables and Patterson as they head through into the very tight horseshoe, and Patterson left hung out to dry pretty much, and he's going to fall back towards Todd George. So not another great start for him, and Mosmoroz back in this as well.
Yeah, exactly right. These guys starting to break away here pretty quickly. It is going to be a real contact. Oh, we've got a car around in the background there. Not too sure who that is. Simon Joel Smith, by the looks of it. We'll go back and have a look and see what's gone on here in just a while.
Yeah, looks like he's done that pretty much all on his own. Hasn't really had anyone assist him in any sort of way. We'll catch on the Virtual Racing Squad replay, and we'll give you a view of how this has done. It just looks like he's caught the inside curb a little bit, possibly balked as well, and possibly hit from behind actually with a little bit of contact. So unfortunately, not how he will have hoped to have started this race, and that's going to be a damaged car as a result of that contact with both the barrier and the car behind. Not quite sure who that was right behind him, but it's on for the lead at the moment. Glenn Wood using that draft to his advantage to get on by Sonny Canchin around the outside, down the front straight. Canchin going to pull back in behind, nearly not quite enough overlap completed, and they're going to still battle out on the way down towards turn 1. Canchin very deep on the brakes, and he's going to get that move straight back. So position retaken, and it's all going on, squabbling for these minor positions. Stasi, Oliver, Mikulev, and even Kanto getting involved in this as well, as Kanto's going to give a little bit of a hit check to Lucas Stasi on the way through turn 3, and now he's back up the inside as Stasi, Claver, who dives it up the inside, and now he's going to walk the rest of these guys. Seeger going to get a move done on Lucas Stasi as well. So Stasi going backwards very, very quickly within the space of 3 corners.
Yep, certainly that's what happens around this track, and yeah, telling Kanto certainly not afraid to get side by side and rub shoulders. Oh no, disappointment for Oliver. He wasn't in the championship hunt after a internet dropout a few rounds ago, but yeah, that's certainly not the start that he wanted, and yeah, not surprised to see it around this track. I'm sure we're going to see plenty more of these front running guys get turned and go around. Focusing on Greg Holmes now, series admin. He's getting amongst us here. Or a little bit of a rub up there with Ben Ferguson just in front of him.
Matt Van Egmond as well, just on his tail. So a little bit of argy-bargy going on in these first few laps with some of these drivers, especially those down the order, wanting to try and set up moves and try and make their way forward. And we'll see most people were coming undone, while others being a little bit more on the lucky side. A few drivers also get some pit stops out of the way, the likes of Lee Harrison and a few others, and a few more deciding to come down onto the lane. McKenzie and Foster onto the lane out the front. Again, 3 wide for the lead. Glenn Wood's going to nearly sweep it around the outside, squeezes Canchin onto the inside curb. Luckily, they both get away with it. Wood runs wide, Canchin runs wide. Here comes Venables around the outside to try and get both of them. He's going to get at least Canchin, but Canchin going to send it straight back up the inside at the following corner. Venables going to try and hold it around the outside of it. Turn 4. Is he going to be able to get it done at turn 6? Nearly. He's going to have the inside line for turn 6. Him on the outside for turn 7, but he's going to get that move done very, very easily, as Canchin possibly just letting off a little bit to let him slide on by. So Venables at least holds on to one place at the moment, and is not too far away from getting to the lead of this race. But it's still very much anyone's guess as to who in this top 7 could possibly win this race, as they're all nose to tail at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'll be surprised if we get through the remaining of this race with these front guys still out in front with how they're going into turn 1 at the moment. We've had contact pretty much every single lap so far for the lead of the race, and yeah, Sonny Canchin, Glenn Wood, Tiny Venables, they're not afraid to rub doors with each other, and it's still continuing to go on. They need to try and work together, try and break away from this. We've got one of the cars there diving into the lane.
Yeah, looks like Glenwood deciding to get down onto the lane and get out of this messy battle pack that's for the lead at the moment. So nearly stopped there for Glenwood. We'll see what he does as far as strategy goes as he comes down through the long pit lane towards his pit box. And obviously, as a result of the long pit lane, it's meaning that your pit box is quite a ways down the road, but it's on for the lead as well still, as Venables has Canchin go on by. So Canchin's regained the position. Oh, contact between someone
Stasi.
and Stasi is around as a result. I think that ended up being Mikulev who made contact with him, unfortunately. He's managed to get it back up and going, has Stasi, but he's lost a number of places out of that as a result of it, that little bit of contact. We get a replay and you'll just see here a little bit of a bump as a result unsettles that Mazda, and unfortunately Stasi left to pick up the pieces and have to recover from that one. He's dropped all the way quite far down the order as well. He's ended up pretty much in behind Darren Sharp, so he's fallen well down the order as a result of that contact.
Yeah, certainly has fallen well down the order, and yeah, each lap we have seen a car go around at turn 1 so far. And yeah, certainly not good for anyone's championship hopes to have that happen. These front guys continuing to race hard. We've got really close battles throughout the field. It's hard to know which one to select at any point in time in the lap. And yeah, it's really on throughout this field. I think the whole field separated by just over a minute, which is pretty impressive considering we do have a 40-odd car grid here. Focusing back out the front though. Tiny Venables closing that gap on Sonny Canchin. He's going to look for the move up here into turn 1 by the looks of it.
Or is he maybe not? He's going to decide to just sit station for the time being. Is it Venables? It's on a little bit behind them though, as Moroz is going to nearly lose the position to Caleb Patterson. He's ended up taking that one off him in the end. So that's a position gain there for Moroz. Glenwood as well. Remember, he's already made his pit stop. He's come out pretty much just behind Graham Ellis. So he's not too far behind those who have pitted. Currently doing very well. And he's actually managed, well, he has opted to do his first 2 tyre stop in this race as well. So he's only got to do one more in the next 2 races, depending on how he wishes to play. Stasi gets tyres out of the way in this stop as well. So a number of drivers opting to get their tyre stops out of the way in the early on in the night's racing. And Stasi just going to come out of the pit lane, and he is going to have, I believe that is Tony Vaselis, just cut across his nose on the pit exit. So he ends up falling in behind Tony Vaselis, does Lucas Stasi. So we'll see where he ends up once this race is over. Meanwhile, back to the forward end of the field, and it's still going on between these three at the moment. Nick Wood decides to dive down onto the lane, and Kanchan as well deciding to come down onto the lane as well. So this will be the telling sign, is very committed on the way into the pit entry. And this will be very, very telling to see where he comes out in relation to the likes of Glenn Wood as far as pit stop. Whether he decides to get a pit, tyre stop out of the way in this first race will be very, very fascinating. I would imagine he would decide to get it out of the way, but we'll wait and see. As well as Nick Wood, we'll see what he opts to do in this first race. Patterson on the lane as well, so three of your leaders onto the lane on this lap. We'll see how these guys decide to play their strategy card, and all of them going up on the lane. And Patterson missing his box as well, so that's hurt him massively. All up on the jacks for 2 tyres at least, so they've all decided to get out of the way. And Kanchan,
penalty potentially, I think so. He's still sitting there on his pit box. He'll be, well, we saw him there go into the pit lane pretty committed, and yeah, I think he's got a penalty on that one.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, looks like he's done himself not any great good there by speeding onto the lane, unfortunately, and he's going to drop down the order massively. This will really help Lee Harrison trying to catch up to his championship rival of Sonny Kanchan. Kanchan's still on the lane as well, so that is quite the penalty that he is having to serve. Unfortunately, he's finally away, so definitely been a speeding and pit lane penalty on the way in, and Lee Harrison actually ahead of him now, so it's going to be quite the fight down the order for the very, very small amount of points that you can get. But Harrison and Losh fighting it out, duking it out on the way through the infield section. And there is that special livery that he talked about last week as well, with Palmer's being on the side of the car. So very, very distinctive and very, very obvious that it's on the car this week, that's for sure, as he's not quite got the run that he will hope there. And he's going to just sit station a little bit longer, but he'll be trying to move on forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Smart call by him to go in and make that stop early, and yeah, he'll be over the moon that Sonny has managed to get a bit of a penalty there. This will give him a bit more of a hope in getting that championship for this season. You know, he's had a couple of bad runs in previous rounds, which kind of dropped him back. He was right in the hunt at the start of the championship, and then yeah, just lost a little bit as we've got a car just dropping off there. Carl Goodger, by the looks of it. Not exactly sure what's happened there. Just go back and have a quick little look at that.
Grab a Virtual Racing Score replay and find out what's exactly gone on here for the 2-3-1. Is just deciding to run off the road. It looked like there was possibly a little bit of contact from behind, but not entirely sure. But it was very, very odd to see him just end up off the road like that. Not exactly a very high speed corner, or a corner you'd typically see mistakes like that at. So very, very interesting that that's ended up happening. But nevertheless, back to live pictures, and Greg Holmes on screen currently. He is currently sitting in the, just trying to find him on
position.
The list. 8th position, there we go. So in the top 10 currently, he's still yet to take his pit stop, I believe. So he'll end up dropping down the order a little bit, is a little bit further up the road. It's a battle on between Moroz and George as they head down the front straight. Moroz pulls out from the draft, very, very late move as well from Moroz as they head down towards turn 1, and it's looking like that one is done with great ease as well. Although George coming back at him on the inside, he's going to actually take that position straight back off him and say, no thank you, I will hold on to that place. So George maintains that position for the time being. This guy's obviously yet to pit at this stage, opting to go a little bit longer than their rivals. So we'll see where they end up popping out in relation to everyone around them.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Cam. It's pretty hard to get a pass done on the outside here going into turn 1. Really kind of shallows off the corner pretty quickly, and yeah, you can just really throw it in if you have that inside line, and kind of just let the car wash away. Yeah, we saw that Mosmeroz was well past Todd George there, just couldn't quite hold on. And a little bit further back here, Jesse White Carriage sitting back there in 5th place, going to the final lap of the race. Pretty quick race. This has gone really fast there, Cam.
Yeah, it certainly has actually gone very, very quick indeed, has this race currently. And I think it's possibly caught out a few drivers, maybe as far as pit stops go. So we'll see what may happen there. But coming through the final corner as well is Tame Venables, your current race leader in this race at the moment. He's going to come through the final corner onto the start-finish line. And he's going to take out race 1 here tonight with a very, very solid drive. George is just going to get second at the line over Mosmeroz with a very, very close finish in drag race to the line. So very, very lucky there as Dylan Canto's going to just get 4th as he drag raced lap car of, I believe that was Ray Harrison. Top 5 is going to end up going to Jesse Carriage with Greg Holmes 6th, Tony Dang in 7th, 8th Damien Seager, although he's just coming through the final corner as it's on between these boys currently for the minor positions. As you got Patterson, Snell and Ellis all drag racing to the line. I want to say Ellis has possibly tried to set this one up, but he hasn't done enough. And as a result, he's going to lose out to Ben Snell. Snell not quite going to get Patterson in the end, but very, very close. He's going to end up 13th with Patterson 12th. So it's a very, very good drag races to the line here, using the draft to their advantage to get that extra position. And you can see there plenty more drivers coming across the line, drag racing as well with the draft, and as a little bit of a helping hand.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's so hard to get that draft timing right on this last lap around this track. To just know when to get on the throttle, how big of a gap to leave is one of the most difficult things to master. And we didn't really see massive battles there for the race win, but certainly for 2nd and 3rd, that was pretty on and throughout the rest of the field.
Yeah, absolutely not wrong there at all. So very, very interesting to see what's going to happen post event with the some drivers not taking their pit stop in this race. But there is a finishing order of race 1. Tame Venables is your race winner with Todd George 2nd and Moroz rounding out the podium. Dylan Canto is going to bring it home 4th with Jesse White Carriage rounding out the top 5. Greg Holmes coming home in 6th with Tony Dang and Nick Wood to round out the top 8, and Nick Wood, the first driver to take a pit stop in that race as well. Glenn Wood and Damien Seager round out the top 10. Luke Claver comes home 11th with Patterson 12th. 13th is Ben Snell with 14th going to Graham Ellis. Lucas Micallef rounds up the top 15. Joel Proctor, Brenton Bull, Aaron Oliver, Matt Van Egmond and Steve McMahon rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, there we go. Back to Mark Foster, Ben Ferguson, Simon Smith, Anthony Connors, Neil McKenzie, Darren Sharp, Lucas Stasi, Lee Harrison, Wayne Losh and Darren Linus there in 30th position. Back to 31st, Tony Vaselis, Dave Gogol, Bard Rodkin, Carl Goodger, Sonny Canchin in 35th. After that speeding and pit lane penalty, Ashley Norman, Wayne McCulloch, Jamie Willits, Ray Raimondo and Brody Cook.
Yeah, so the 40 cars lining up tonight, all completed in race 1. No DNFs by the looks of it. In race 2, not too far away from getting underway as well. The grid set by the finishing order of race 1. So Venables will be on pole with Todd George lining up alongside him on the front row. Likes of Canchin and those who pitted in race 1 a little bit further back, but they're still in contention for the win. Revs are rising, lights are on, and the green flag is in the air, and we are underway. As Venables with a very, very good start, but a very bad start from Todd George. He's going to get eaten up off the line by 2 cars, 3 cars, possibly 4 here on the way down towards turn 1. He's going to have Moroz and Canto and a few others as well. Jesse Carriage and Tony Dang possibly fighting. Glenn Wood trying to sneak up the middle of a 4-wide situation with Nick Wood and co. As they're 3 wide, nearly 4 and 5 wide even in some parts of the field. Everybody makes it through turn 1, thankfully, but battles are plenty through the field at the moment as everybody trying to sort themselves out currently, and a few drivers trying to move through the field a little bit too quickly. As contact going on for a few drivers. Unfortunately, Aaron Oliver's been turned and off the road as well. A few other cars, likes of Nick Wood and Graham Ellis, unfortunately off the road due to incidents. And that's some more going on, unfortunately, with carnage everywhere.
Yeah, absolute carnage everywhere throughout this race. Both the Woods out there were tangled up in that one. And yeah, certainly not the start that they want. Oh, a bit of a crook car here for Glenn Wood. Started 9th, and there's still contact going on throughout the field.
Yeah, there's a few very, very broken cars. Even the likes of Luke Claver, very, very broken at the moment, with a lot of damage to that car. So a lot of cars, unfortunately, falling victim to this lap 1 carnage that's possibly that's unfolded here today. And you can see there another slow car. That is, I believe, Damien Seeger, and a car spinning off in the background as well, in the form of Ben Ferguson and Greg Holmes. So more drivers making mistakes or just ending up with incidents in the second race, and already cars taking pit stops as well.
Yeah, the rear end, we just caught Mosmer Oz coming out of one of those turns, just absolutely hanging it out, and it takes a bit of effort to make one of these cars really drift. 2 wide action here going on, maybe 3 wide action going into turn 1 here.
You have Seeger, Mikulev, Proctor and Patterson all fighting for the race lead at the moment. Patterson with the lead currently over Proctor with Mikulev in 3rd. Mikulev tried to get something done, but just decided to sit back and just wait a little bit longer, as these two still fighting side by side on the way through turns 3 and 4. Is they're going to come out the other side by side still. Is Mikulev going to be on the inside? He's going to cross over in front of his teammate, only just get that position off Joel Proctor, and Damon Seeger right on the tail of these guys as well. So it's a proper 3-way battle for the final spots inside the podium, and a 4-way battle for what is effectively the lead of this race. And they've also got to remember that McMahon's not too far behind as well, so could quickly become a 5-car train for the race lead here. And Brenton Bull wasn't a million miles away either, so this, these guys are going to be a little bit sensible here and try and work together if they can. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves with quite the battle pack, as more carnage possibly going on further back. No, actually, that is just a Goodger and Wood fighting together. Wood trying to make his way back forward after that terrible start being spun as well. So we'll see where he recovers to. Obviously taking it at least 1 stop, so he's going to get a reasonable result in at least one of these races if he decides to do his pit stop in this next race, or possibly this race either. We'll see what he decides to do, but a lot of drivers opting to get a pit stop out of the way in this one, whether it be their second stop or first stop.
Yeah, exactly right. Mosmer Oz coming into the lane, Dylan Canto as well. These guys the leading cars, which have made a stop at the stage. A few more cars coming down into the lane now as well. Todd George, he's sitting there in 8th position at the moment, and also Wayne McCulloch, Lucas Mikulev, Joel Proctor, all making their way down here into the lane, getting their stop over and done with early, which isn't a bad call. Where's Mosmer Oz going to come out in comparison to these other guys? Nick Wood, I was quite surprised to see him up there in P11 now, considering he got turned around on lap 1. Seeing Mosmer Oz here dive up the inside of Ray Raimondo. Oh, there's going to be contact. There we go. That is not what Mosmer Oz wanted at all. He was a bit ambitious going there with one of that car which came out of the pit lane, and yeah, bit of contact into turn 1.
Yeah, unfortunately side-by-side contact with himself and Todd George. We did say that pit lane was possibly going to cause issues for some drivers if they were unlucky enough. Oh, and a little bit of contact between George and Canto as well on the way through turn 5 and on the way down towards turn 6. So I'd say George possibly has a little bit of damage here with how he's not going very, very quick and letting everybody on by. So not quite sure what sort of damage he might have or what's going on there, but he's losing a lot of time, and he's lost a number of places as a result. 3 wide between these guys nearly. Canto, Snell, and Ray Harrison. Ray Harrison decides to back out of that one. Snell's going to get 2 for the price of 1. He's going to be a very, very happy man out of that, because he is not too far away from getting to the back of Sonny Kenshin and getting a possible move done, looking a little bit further back as well. Goodger and Oliver trying to move their way on forward. Oliver, one of the drivers, claimed in that lap 1 kerfuffle that went on. He's not doing too bad at making his way on forward. I believe he has taken his pit stop, so he's got at least 1 stop now out of the way for 2 tyres. So he's only got 1 more to make in the following race at this stage, and we're hoping for a reasonably good result. So we'll see how he ends up, but a little bit more forward, and it's very, very close between some of these minor positions as well. Is just up ahead. There's a 3 wide battle onto the start-finish straight, I should say, nearly. As Nick Wood decides to think better of it, he's going to look up the middle, and he's going to go 3 wide with these guys on the way down towards turn 1 with Andrew Hobby, and also Brody Cook on his inside. He's going to sweep around the outside, nearly his lap traffic, playing a little bit of havoc there in the form of Ray Harrison. And Harrison actually had an incident with, I believe that was Aaron Oliver, Jesse Craig not too far ago, so a little bit of drama between those guys, but they're still sorting themselves out, are these guys at the moment. And Nick Wood just getting on by Harrison and trying to hunt down Andrew Hobby.
Yeah, exactly right. Battles are plenty throughout this field. Not a great night so far for Aaron Oliver. We saw him tangled up in race 1 incidents there, and he will not be happy sitting back there in 24th position at the moment. Looking back out the front though, Caleb Pallison leading this race, Damien Seeger behind him. These guys have not made a stop. We've got the first 9 cars back to Bard Rodkin. He is the last car to not have made a stop in Sonny Kenshin P10. So yeah, these front guys, you can see which ones make a stop out of those first 9 cars, and where Sonny Kenshin comes out in comparison to them. Back here, side by side battles. Nick Wood, Andrew Hobby, these guys aren't afraid to rub doors, are they?
Yeah, they certainly are, and they've just swapped positions on this lap out of the final corner, and they're probably about to switch positions again, as Hobby's going to have a draft down towards turn 1. He's going to poke his nose out, but he decides to not make a move on the way down towards turn 1 this time at least, and they've got Aaron Oliver all over their tail as well, so they've got to be a little bit careful here and try and work together as best as they can.
Yeah.
Through turn 4.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You really got to work with the guys on track, and well, the regulars, well, most of these drivers here are regulars, kind of know how each other race on track, and that's probably one of the most important things to have a good result at this particular track is work with the guys around you. It is frustrating if you are with a pack of cars which are slightly off what your pace will be. Quickly find yourself disappearing down the list.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to be very, very, very smart about which battles you choose to be involved in, and who you decide to fight and who you decide to leave for another corner or another day. As Nick Wood's still moving his way on forward, getting a move done there. I believe that is Brody Cook.
Nick Wood,
so.
yep. Nick Wood has got past Brady Cook, then Aaron Oliver, and Andrew Hobby there in 24th position. He's given Oliver the big push here. It's, if you want, a bit of bump drafting, Talladega style.
There's certainly a bit of bum drafting going on between these guys on the way down the front straight.
Here we go.
With a big move to the inside on the way down towards turn 1. 3 wide, don't you? Oliver up the inside, Wood on the middle, and Cook's going to sweep it straight around the outside. Wood got a little bit scared there, I think, and had to just back out of it to try and avoid possible contact. These guys just up in front of them. Cook and Oliver nearly banging wheels on the way out of turn 2. Oliver gets the position off Brody Cook in the end, but that could have all gone very, very wrong very, very quickly. And now Norman's on the back of this train as well, so very, very solid 5-car battle pack for these currently minor positions. Obviously, most of them have made a pit stop, so they've got to get on up the order a little bit more. But moving forward as well, like some McMahon and that, fighting for these very front positions. McMahon trying to set up a move on Wayne Losh here. No, he's actually going to decide to do a bit of bump drafting on the way down towards turn 1, literally pushing him as there's nothing between them and as far as molecules go. And in the end, Losh keeping that position. McMahon not opting to make any passes at this stage at least. And obviously these guys have all, these top 4 at least, have all made a pit stop in the first race as well. So opting to possibly wait in the second race, either wait a little bit longer or decide to do it in race 3, which wouldn't be a terrible idea, as you're obviously going to hurt and then you're obviously going to win in some stages. So deciding to leave the hurting till the third race, I should say. Is on board here with the 141 as come through turn 1 and 2. Ben Snell trying his best to hunt down the car ahead of Sonny Kench. These two have been very, very close between each other for pretty much most of the race at this stage. Obviously trying to move their way on forward. Currently just on the verge of the top 10 is Ben Snell, and Sonny Kench in the final car inside the top 10 as well. So pushing as hard as they can, and I imagine it will come down to the final lap between those two as well. So we'll see what the battles are going to pan out like for a lot of these cars, as there's quite a battle pack there going on between Proctor, Mikulev and Moroz. Moroz looking for a nice drive off the exit there, off of turn 7, and it's looking like he's going to get it as they head down towards turn 8. He might just get the position off Proctor, backs out of it, and opts to fight another day. So Moroz gains position there, moves into 15th place, and he's going to size up Mikulev here on the way down to turn 1. I imagine getting very close on the way into the chicane, the bus stop chicane of 9 and 10. Let's head through turn 11. Meanwhile, towards the front, Stasi side by side with Matt Van Egmond, and Matt Van Egmond nearly going to pull it off on the inside. He's going to be on the outside though, and Stasi going to sweep up the inside of turn 2, but he doesn't get a good run actually, and he's possibly going to leave himself vulnerable to possible attackers. It's also on for the lead of the race as well. Seeger and Pedersen going at it toe-to-toe currently, with only about 2 laps to go based on my calculations, with how much longer is left in this race as far as time goes. So they're going to be duking it out for the race win. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, 3 wide on the way into turn 1. And Mikulev just going to hold off from Moroz. Proctor still looming on the tail of these guys. And Moroz getting very, very good run off the exit. He had to back out of it. And here comes Proctor back up the inside to try and get this position back. There's a little bit of nose-to-tail contact between himself and Mikulev. And Proctor's going to end up trying his best to get this position. He's going to keep on hounding that inside line and that outside line, and Moroz goes a little bit deep, and he tries to actually do a little bit of a crossover move, does Proctor, and drive back underneath him, but Moroz is wise to the move and decides to just park it on the apex a little bit.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is quite amazing how the momentum plays such a big part in this particular track's racing. Just saw Joel Proctor there. Just didn't quite have the same momentum as what Moz Moroz had. Was on the inside line, so had to turn the wheel a little bit tighter than what Moroz did to get through the corner, and he hasn't quite managed to get past. I think he's probably got the pace, although you can't really identify pace around this track. You can quickly make it up in this front straight, exactly like racing Formula V's in real life, Cam.
You're absolutely right. You've got to wait till the very, very last lap to make your moves and make sure no one is seeing what you've possibly got on your mind. Is up the inside on the way through the final corner is Moroz, but he's going to get done by Joel Proctor, who's got an absolutely massive run on the way out of the final corner down the front straight. He's going to be on the inside, and he's going to clear Moroz, but here comes on the outside contact between Moroz and Mikulev. They've both managed to just barely get away with that. I don't know how they've managed to keep going straight, but Mikulev very, very lucky, although that car is looking a little bit second-hand after that contact with the outside wall, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be lacking a bit of pace, but it's all going on for the minor positions as well, as they're all scrapping it out, trying to gain these little bits in extra places for the run to the line.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We'll go back and have a look at that on a slow-mo replay after this race is finished. That was, they did well to hold on to that one, though the car went into the wall pretty hard. Battle on Andrew Hobby, getting right amongst it with Ashley Norman.
Yeah, certainly they're still fighting it out very, very closely. Well, the leaders are coming to the line, and it looks like Damien Seeger is just going to do enough to take the checkered flag and win race 2 over Pedersen, who just misses out on the end. Steve McMahon going to round out the podium by the looks of it, with Wayne, 4th place, with Wayne Losh rounding out the podium. Lucas Tarzi rounds out the top 5. Matt Van Egmond 6th. 7th will go to Jamie Willits, but it's on between Canchin and Snell. And Snell has possibly outdone himself here with a too early of a move, and Canchin is just going to out-drag him to the line on the final lap of the race. And unfortunately, Ben Snell is going to have to bring it home in 10th. Sadly, after just making that move a little bit too early. He'll be a little bit dark with himself after that as well, so he won't be too happy, but still a very, very good result. Drag race between as well, Tony Dang and Mark Foster. Dang just gets that one done at the end. A few others deciding to play drag race on the way down towards turn 1 on the final lap as well. So it's a very, very mixed up orders as a result of the pit stops being taken place in race 2. And here's one of the final few drivers just coming through the final corner now. Luke Claver looking like he is going to be a little bit disappointed with this race after ending up in the wars on lap 1. And he's going to bring it home in 32nd as well, and Wood 33rd. So a lot of drivers really hoping they can get a good result here in the 3rd race, and obviously be too happy with the result of race 2.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's plenty of action going on in that race, just like race 1, and I'm sure race 3 will not disappoint. We'll have a quick look at those results there, and then have a look at that replay of that front straight collision with the wall between those 3 cars.
Yeah, so results, we'll get the results on screen. There they are. It's Damien Seeger, obviously your race winner for race 2, with Patterson and Losh rounding out the podium. McMahon 4th with Stasi 5th. Matt Van Egmond in 6th. Jamie Willits 7th. Bard Rodkin 8th, with Sonny Canchin coming home in 9th and just beating Ben Snell to the line for the final spot in the top 10. Wade McCulloch in 11th. Todd George 12th, with Dylan Canto, Mosmeroz, and Joel Proctor rounding out the top 15. A very, very good battle further back there as well. Brenton Bull, Tony Dang, Mark Foster, Lucas McAleff, and Nick Wood round out your top 20.
Yeah, exactly right there. 21st, Aaron Oliver. Brady Cook, 22nd. Ashley Norman. Andrew Hobby. Dave Gogol. Neil McKenzie, 26th. Jesse White Carriage. Tony Vasalis. Ben Ferguson. And Ray Raimondo running out the 30. Back to 31st. Tony Venables. Luke Claver. Glenn Wood. Graham Ellis. Simon Joel Smith. Lee Harrison. Not to forget for him so far. Greg Holmes, 37th. Darren Linus, 38th. Anthony Connors in 39th, and Carl Goodger in 40th.
Yeah, so a few drivers unfortunately coming to blows with that carnage on lap 1 and 2 as well, and unfortunately finishing down the order, and they're going to have a lot of work ahead of them in race 3, especially for those who didn't pit as well. Going to have a lot of work for them ahead of them in race 3, having to come through from the back at some point as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen as far as race 3 goes, and who we might see on the podium. Grab that virtual racing school replay of what ended up happening between those guys on the final few laps, with that 3 wide on the way down towards turn 1.
Yeah, just trying to go back here and grab that as a replay just before, just here, I believe we see it. Jump on board left car, see what's actually going on here. I think he's just tagged the rear of Canchin, of Mosmeroz, I should say. Oh, the other car there has tagged him. Not exactly sure. Have a look at another angle here. Yeah, okay, Mosmeroz has come across and then bounced in to Kismikalev. Oh, yeah, big hit here.
Yeah, certainly quite quite a large impact with wheel-to-wheel contact, and very lucky to not have that go any worse than that, apart from a bit of a slap to the outside wall and carry on. Very, very lucky to have that only happen, but nevertheless, race 3 awaits us here tonight, not too far away from racing again, with a little bit of a break and a warm-up for the drivers. So we'll take a quick break here at SimSpeed TV. Don't go anywhere. We've got race 3 not too far away, so we'll catch you very, very shortly.
When your business relies on the highest level of service and support, trust Duo Trading to be your complete service provider. Duo Trading can provide your business with a complete local supply solution. Duo Trading, Tasmanian supporting Tasmanians since 1976.
Welcome back, everyone, to what is the penultimate round of the Simworx Roadster Rumble here. We've got one final race ahead of us tonight. It's been a very, very action-packed and very, very dramatic first 2 races, and a very, very strategic one as well, with a lot of carnage, a lot of very close finishes, a lot of good battling, and a lot of strategic play as well by a lot of drivers opting to get their pit stops out of the way. Some opting to do their 2 pit stops across all 3 races. So we'll see what race 3 is going to hold for us here tonight, and obviously the finishing order of race 2 determining the grid once again for the following race 3. So a lot of drivers who are going to have a lot of work ahead of them, a lot of drivers possibly not, but we'll wait and see what the order is going to end up being. Seeger and Pedersen on the front row, with Losh and McMahon on row 2, Justin behind Stasi, Van Evenman, Willits, Rodkin, Kanchan, and Snell your top 10. So it's going to be all on between these guys. Fully expect a lot of drivers to come through the field, the likes of Lee Harrison and Glenn Wood, and a few others who are starting down the order. So it's going to be very, very exciting. We'll see how everybody makes their way on through the field. Lights are on, revs are rising. We are about to get racing underway for one final time tonight. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway once again for the final race of the night. Again, a very, very solid start from your Pulsar, but not a very good one from your second place starter again. Caleb Patterson getting beaten off the line by the looks of it by Wayne Losh, and a few others scattering in the background. Stasi looking to try and get around the outside of these guys on the way down towards turn 1. Not quite going to be able to make that happen, and Patterson going to just hold on to second. Losh going to hold on to third. Stasi coming under pressure from McMahon, though, around the outside at turn 2. Everybody looks to have made it through turn 1 reasonably clean. McKenzie involved in something a little bit further back, and Snell with a very, very good start as well. He's now all over the back of these guys. There's a big praying up in the midfield just behind. A lot of drivers involved, Bobby, Moroz, and a few others, and Venables upside down even, and Harrison involved as well. Yeah, certainly has a problem any luck at all. He's had an absolute shocker of a night tonight, as Lee Harrison, so be absolutely ruining that, and we're certainly disappointed with how this is going to be hurting him in the championship as a result of the lack of points being scored tonight. But we'll see if he can get back out there and see if he can get some, at least some form of points towards the championship, as that's a car around and getting contact with Glenn Wood. Lucas McAleff involved in an incident with, I believe that was Ashley Norman. Oh no, Oliver. Yeah, absolutely not a great start to this race or night in general for those guys at all, both Harrison and obviously Oliver teammates. So that team not having an absolute spectacular night at all. Was nearly contact between Sharp and one of the cars there, as Mackenzie's also getting involved there amongst the rest of them, running a little bit wide though, and that's going to allow someone up the inside, as they're all squabbling for these positions inside the top 5. This battle for the lead is really well and truly on. Ben Snell's just taken the lead off at Patterson, but Losh looking to come back and possibly have Stasi and also Kanchan in there, as well as Kanchan launches it up the inside of it. Stasi is going to gain a position there. Losh going to just try and hold it around the outside, not quite going to get it done, so he's going to hold on to that one. In the end, it is Losh, and Sonny Kanchan not going to gain a position. Todd George also on the back of this train now, as we look a little bit further back. Cook and Ferguson going at it currently. See it through on the way through turn 1 and 2. And Anthony Connors as well getting involved in this little battle, as he's all over the back of Tony Vasalis, and you can see Justin behind Sharp, Smith and Linus all squabbling for these minor positions here, and Hobby's now right on the tail of these guys. Yeah, looks like Lucas Stars and Wayne Losh coming down onto the lane this time by the looks of it. No other takers coming onto the lane apart from Graham Ellis. So not many drivers deciding to get their pit stops done on this lap, but obviously those who need to get it done have got it done, or are getting it done in this race. And those top 4 obviously as well, all yet to get to the finish line. They've all done their stops as well, so they won't need to worry too much about that. But top 4 really has broken up quite a lot in the recent few laps, but as we look further back, these guys still squabbling for these minor positions, like Hobby Vasalis and a few others, all trying to move forward, trying to get to those top 10 positions. Simon Joel Smith as well in there, trying his hand at getting around the outside of Vasalis. Is he going to get it done? He's going to hold it there, around at the outside, and he's going to get the inside for the following corner. He's going to get that move completed, so Vasalis is going to lose a place, but he's not quite going to have the run is Simon Joel Smith, so he has to be a little bit careful here. he doesn't possibly lose the place back to Vasalis, but no move going to end up happening. So Smith is safe for a few corners. He's going to be trying to hunt down the likes of Hobby, Sharp, and Connors, who are not too far away. Yeah, he certainly has. He's had his hands full all night tonight with pretty much all the battling you could ask for. He's certainly got his money's worth out of this series just on tonight alone. So he'll be pretty well excited with how this night has gone from as far as battles go, but possibly not quite going to be too happy with the results. We'll possibly see what he might say, but he would certainly be hoping to be a little bit further forward, but nevertheless still some very, very good battles that he's been involved in all night long, that's for sure, as Aaron Oliver continuing to move his way forward after being involved in that little bit of a spin that he had in the previous lap. So he's currently sitting P23 and moving his way on forward. Darren Sharp all over the back of Simon Joel Smith as well for these positions just inside the top 15. And Smith's probably going to lose his place to Sharp at some point with the run down towards turn one, although he might have some draft assistance of Anthony Connors as well. Yeah, and that's in clean air as well, so some very, very impressive times coming out of Sonny Canchin at the moment, although very equal pace with Ben Snell and himself currently. So if Canchin makes a mistake, there will be Ben Snell all over his rear bumper to start harassing him and possibly challenge for this race lead. And a little bit further back, though, on board, well, I believe that was Mark Foster, and you've also got this other battle pack as well with the likes of Nick Wood and co. All battling for these minor positions. Obviously, a couple of these drivers having to take their pit stop in this race, and we see a few other drivers as well having been involved in some possible incidents on the very opening lap that we saw. So Patterson going to lose 2 spots here as he runs a little bit deep on the way into turn 6, so he's going to be a little bit dark with himself about that. And Losh going to drive around the outside of him. He might even lose a few more here as Stasi Goodger and Norman all over his rear tail. And we'll see what happens here as Norman looking for a move up the inside of Stasi. Not going to make the move though, and Patterson is going to be a little bit safer, but still has got a lot of work to do to move on forward and catch up to the likes of Nick Wood. Yeah, absolutely. 100% right. As Patterson drafting Ashley Norman nearly makes contact with Stasi and Norman there. Is he going to go 3 wide on the way down towards turn 1 with Patterson in the middle? Norman's going to be on the inside with Stasi on the outside. And Stasi's going to clear both of them very, very easily. Patterson nearly up with an incident. Goodger having to slam hard on the brakes and avoid possible contact there. It was a little bit of a bump from him to the rear bump of Patterson as he moved over in the braking zone, but very, very lucky to get away with that one. But all over the back of Ashley Norman. We'll get a virtual racing school replay and check that one out, because that was very, very hairy and could have gone very, very pear-shaped very quickly. Yeah, Sonny Kenshin in the lane at the moment. Didn't take his second pit stop in race 2, bear in mind. So he's having to do it in this third race. Was actually going to be on for a very, very good result if he had have done it in this third race. But nevertheless, he's getting it done. And it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. Todd George also in the lane, as well as Jamie Willits. And I believe there is also one other in the form of Lee Harrison. So he's still in the pit lane. He's not going to be getting out anytime soon due to that damage that he's got. Kenshin is finally away, and so is George out of the lane. They're going to come out just ahead of Nick Wood. So they're going to end up in around that sort of top 20 sort of position area. So they're going to end up a little bit down the order, not quite scoring as much points in this third race, but still a very, very nice handful. And Kenshin will be at least getting at least one hand on the trophy tonight with the results that he's had compared to a championship rival Lee Harrison. Certainly a very, very talented driver, and one that's very much up and coming. So we hopefully seeing some more racing results once the world returns to normal, with when COVID lockdowns and border restrictions are no longer a thing. But Darren Sharp looking at a move around the outside of it. Neil McKenzie as they head down towards turn 1. He's got a big run and head of steam as a result of that draft. Is he going to be able to get that move around the outside? Yes, he is. And a bit of a move very deep on the brakes, a little bit further back as well from Ben Ferguson. Nearly contact with McKenzie, but McKenzie's not giving this one up. There's a little bit of contact between himself and Sharp, as Sharp ran a little bit deep on the way into turn 1, and now Sharp's going to possibly risk losing another place here as Ferguson launches it up the inside. Not quite going to get that move done, so Sharp's going to just hold on to that position, but not what he would have wanted at all. Yeah, very, very solid drive from those top three as it's on between Dave Gurgle and Brody Cook. And Cook actually lifted out of the infield. He's not quite going to get to the line though before Dave Gurgle, and Gurgle's just going to get 8th in the end. So very, very solid result from those guys. Not quite the one that Brody Cook will have hoped for, but still a very, very good fight too. The line is it's on between Ferguson and Kenshin. Kenshin just going to get that position off Ferguson in the end. He nearly loses the position as well to Tony Vasalis, but not to be in the end. So Ferguson comes home in at 17th. Number of drivers also racing to the line, and that's going to be position at least for safe for Caleb Patterson. Gugu not quite able to get there in the end. So some very, very close finishes here again in all three races. Yeah, it certainly would have been very, very shaken up, those minor positions with all sorts going on for a lot of the drivers tonight. And interesting to see what the championship order looks like heading into the final round, both in the AM standings and in the pro standings as well. There is your race 3 results on the screen. Ben Snell wins tonight's final race with Joel Proctor coming home in second and Brenton Bull in third. Mark Foster and Glenwood round out the top 5. So very, very solid night, final into the night for them, especially for Mark Foster, who's going to have some very, very nice points coming his way over his championship rival of Neil McKenzie. Luke Claver is going to be 6th with Gogol 7th. Cook is just going to end up coming home in 8th after missing out on Gogol with that run. Andrew Hobby and Simon Smith going to round out the top 10. Aaron Oliver 11th, Anthony Connors and 12th. Darren Linus comes home in 13th from 38th on the grid. So very, very good drive from him. 14th to Neil McKenzie and Darren Sharp coming home in the top 15 and 15th. Very good drive from him. From 41st on the grid. 16th to Sonny Canchin with Ben Ferguson, Vasalis, George and Seager rounding out the top 20. Yeah, and from Dylan Cantor on back, all a lap down. Unfortunately, Venables and Harrison DNFing this race, so not going to be doing their championship hopes any good at all, unfortunately. So they're going to have a lot of hard work ahead of them for the final round next week. Well, we're going to bring Ben Snell in, your race 3 winner for a chat. Ben, very, very good night to into the night, I should say.
Yeah. I got on very late, so I was like, stuff it. I'm gonna just start at the back, do a no quality race, and see how we end up at the end of all 3, and try and use this weird pit strategy that we get where we have to pit twice out of 3 races. And I think I nailed it pretty well because I ended up all by myself at the end and went, oh, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, certainly a very, very interesting pit strategy calls from a lot of drivers. Obviously, some deciding to do it in the first 2 races, some deciding to do it in the second and third, and obviously some deciding to do it in the first and third. Was there any real particular reason you went for your strategy, or was it just more or less where you were in traffic and what you decided to do to try and get a bit of clean air?
Yeah, so the first race was definitely, I knew I was starting at the back, so pit, first lap, first race, get some clean air, and then just drive through and see where I popped out. I think I popped out just inside the top 20, somewhere around there, which is pretty good. And then the second race, I actually had a really clean start, and there was heaps of carnage around me. I was like, oh, cool, like, I'll just stay with it, and we'll see how we go, and pit at the end, or figure out what I'm doing. And then coming onto the front straight, I got absolutely swamped, and I realised I had a fair bit of nose damage from when I hit Glenn Wood when he rejoined. So I was like, okay, I just had to peel in and fix the damage. And I went, well, while I'm here, I may as well take tyres. And then that cleared that out. And then ended up, I think, top 10, around 10th. And then, yeah, had a clear run to the end because pretty much everyone in front of me hadn't pitted yet.
Yeah, certainly, and it all worked out well for you in the end. Now, Indianapolis, very, very underrated track, and probably not one that's all that popular on the service. Do you enjoy it at all?
Yeah, I much prefer this layout than the backwards one that we did at Aussie Car one time, which was like the moto version in reverse. That's way weird. But yeah, this is a fun track. It's an underrated track. It's a bit flat, which I know a lot of some people get a little bit iffy about, but it's a fun track, and I've got a bit of pace here as well, which is, you always like tracks where you're a bit quicker at.
Yeah, absolutely not wrong. Better to be at the front than at the back. Well, nevertheless, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give?
Of course, yeah. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's always good to go back and have a watch. Thanks to Greg Lee and all the guys here at the series for putting on the fun racing. I can't make it every week at the moment, but the weeks that I do jump in, it's super fun, and it's always a good time. And thanks to Brody and the guys at Team Perhaps for always having an enjoyable Discord for the races.
Well, all the best for next weekend. We hope to see you back up the pointy end of the third. Well, Fonty, you are going to be standing by with our third place for a very, very good night result for Caleb Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome night tonight. Second race was a cracker. Me and Damo battled it out for first for quite a while there. But yeah, by doing that, it cost me the third race. But I had good results in both first and second race. So hopefully, I can jump Neil and Mark, and it all comes down to the last round. Oh, I think it was awesome. My original plan was to pit first and second race, but seeing as I was so high up and me and Damo were having a cracking time, I decided to pit third race instead. But yeah, I was a fan of it at the start, and then yeah, third race came down to it. I didn't really like it, but yeah, it was good. I'd just like to thank the Downshift Sim Racing boys. They brought me on board, and yeah, they're bringing me up the ranks real quick. And just a few of my own sponsors for real life: Bruce Base Renovators, Petters G Bung, Tires Galore, 4B Business Group. Yeah, they're doing an awesome job. So. My only thoughts are trying to get up there. I think it's going to be really close next week, so it's going to be an awesome battle and awesome fun. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what next week is going to be like and what may unfold in the championship as well. And speaking of the championship, yeah, championship leader currently is more or less put one hand on the trophy at this stage. Sonny, it was a quite up and down night for you, obviously, pit strategy being involved in that, but still, nevertheless, it's a good help towards your championship.
Hey Cam, hi. Yes, nevertheless, like you said, it's been quite a gaggle, um, and it was pretty interesting with what went on in the first race and the strategy and the damage and getting caught up. And unfortunate, I got um, a penalty of exceeding the track limits on the first corner, so I had to pit twice, and might as well take tires and stuff. So I pitted all three races. And looks like, yeah, it was quite a good result at the end. Well, I was kind of focused more so on where my rival was, Lee, and unfortunate, I don't see him getting good race tonight. I see, so I'm not really sure. It's not over until it's over, but it was okay for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not over till it's over. Now, obviously, Indianapolis, a track that's quite underrated and not very popular as far as the service goes. Is it one of those tracks you tend to enjoy, or is it one of those you try and avoid a little bit more?
Yeah, actually, it's my first time on this track racing, um, and what mattered was practice. And in the beginning, I kind of watched a lot of lap videos and tried to learn the track. And while I was learning it, it was quite enjoyable, to be honest. It's not quite um, pretty much. There's a bit of a learning curve. The in-road, the technical sections, they're very technical, especially in this car, where you have to hit your corners right and then let the momentum flow. I think yeah, it matters a lot. I really enjoyed it at the end of the day, and I kept enjoying it every lap. And yeah, it's pretty underrated, to be honest. I'd love more races to race more on this track for sure.
Well, very, very good to hear. Well, obviously, heading into the final few races of the championship next week, obviously, you're looking to seal it up. Are you going to be going out there trying to win races, or are you just going to try and bring the thing home?
I got the appetite still. I like to win it. The next one's at Road America, one of the most popular ones out there, and also one of my favorites. So I'm hungry for that and looking forward to it, and also wish everyone a good race and looking forward to it.
Yes, certainly very much looking forward to what Road America is gonna hold for us next week. Well, before we let you go, just any thanks you want to give?
Yeah, I'd like to give thanks to you guys for putting up a great show. I love watching this and the Porsche on the GT4 series the other night, and loved every bit of it. So and also to everyone involved in this league once again. My teammate, shout out to Wayne and for the sponsors, WBT Racing for this week.
Well, all the best for next week, Sonny, and we look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully we can talk to you again.
Likewise, Cam. Cheers.
Well, there you have it, Fontier. Reasonably happy championship leader coming into the final round, and still plenty of drama yet to unfold. We head to Road America, Elkhart Lake next week for the final round of the championship. It's going to be hopefully a humdinger of a race, and hopefully we don't see too much drama unfolding.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Cam. It's yeah, absolutely awesome series, and Road America will not disappoint at all. Expect to see plenty of action, as we see every single week in this series. A little bit of a mix-up tonight. Yeah, Road America, such a long, fast track, and yeah, with 40-odd cars on the grid, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be very, very exciting. Well, we're going to wrap things up here at SimSpeed TV for tonight's action of the Simworx Roadster Rumble. Thanks to all the partners that support this series, like the Phoenix Smokers and everybody else on the series that have supported all the way through. It's been fantastic to see you all support the likes of Rinaldi, KP Tech, and Automotive Towing, and Simworx, of course, for their main support of the series. So I'd like to thank you all, obviously, for joining us, and thanks to everybody for the awesome race. And we'll catch you next week for the final, where we're going to crown a champion officially. So we'll see you all at Road America in 1 week's time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?